Hey guys, JG here. I've been an artist for over 10 years at this point. Throughout my time, I've tested and used many, and I mean many, different art supplies. I've tried watercolor. I love acrylics. I love you so much. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Oil paints were neat to mess with. Where are they? Oh yeah, that's right. I gave them to my uncle. However, there was one art supply, one type of paint that I have never ever tried before in my life. And that, my awesome viewers, is the one, the only, gouache. Now, I am aware of gouache. My classmates have used it, professional illustrators use it in their projects. I've seen those popular Hemi jelly gouaches on the internet so much that they clogged up my social media feeds. Phew! And boy, were they everywhere. After thinking over my options on where to start with a gouache, I settled on this little Winsorandnewton set for only 20 bucks at Michael's. It comes in 10 colors, and hopefully it's a good beginner set for someone that's new to gouache, such as myself. So, let's get comfy, grab a burrito, and test this paint out. And be sure to stick around until the end to see me make some art. So before we begin, I would like to say just one thing. Gouache is such a weird word to say. Gouache.
Gouache.
Gouache. For those that don't know what gouache is like a fusion of watercolor and acrylic. It has the same opacity and can be layered like acrylic, but it can also be watered down and reactivated like watercolor. Oh my god, it's like the Hannah Montana of paint for artists. Without further ado, let's get to round one. Swatching. What the heck? Why did the white come out like that? That is not a good sign. It's okay. Maybe we can fix it later. Okay, there we go. It should be better now. Now on with the show! For the swatches, to really see all of the sides of this paint, the first row of swatches will be paint without water, the middle row will be mixed with a little bit of water, and the bottom row I will treat as if it was watercolor, using a lot more water. Aw, crap! I forgot medium yellow. Hang on. I will admit, they are not the most opaque. I'm looking at you, opaque white! But the vibrancy is quite nice for the other colors, and some colors like black and ultramarine really pulled their weight. The middle row with only a little water mixed in got a bit too streaky for my liking. However, the bottom row is what surprised me the most. If you said that this line was only with just watercolor, I would have believed you. They are so amazing to look at. No fillers in them either. Woo! Round 1, I would say, was probably a C-. The quality of the white really brought this section down. I'm truly hoping layering the colors on top of each other will help cover up the layers underneath, especially in case I make a mistake with the drawing. So with that said, the next round will be a double feature, layering and reactivation. So it's currently the next day, and just as I thought, the paints have dried up. I really hate how this white looks though. Let's see how well these paints reactivate. Wow, they work about almost as well as they did yesterday. Color me impressed. I'll give this section an A.
Wow.
And now we are going to test how well they layer on top of each other. Just like with the first round, I'm going to perform the tests with different amounts of water in the paint. Only difference is using different opacities of paint as the bases. And also, since I'm extra and feeling salty about this white, we'll even do a test to see how many layers of white it takes to be opaque. So now let's give these babies time to dry, and then the real test begins. Yeah, I wish the opacity was better with these paints. The good news is that the thicker applied paints didn't pick up any color, but I can still see through it. The more watered down I made this blue, the more it started to mix with the colors underneath. Now, I am not mad at that part, it's what I expected to happen. So I think for this section, I'll give it a B-,
Yeah!
which brings this round's average to a B+.
Yeah!
Now before we move on to the drawing, let's see how many layers it takes to make white cover this pen line. Okay, now for the real test, the big one, the final boss. So first things first, I got my drawing onto my watercolor paper, and I'm going to lighten up the pencil marks with my kneaded eraser. If you can't tell what, or should I say, who it is, it's Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. Specifically his look from Mortal Kombat 4. I chose him because I just recently rewatched the OG Mortal Kombat movie on Tubi, and my god does it still rock. It's got problems, but I still think it's good and faithful to the games from a story perspective. And Scorpion is a fun character for me to play as in the series, so I went with him. So anyway, enough of me nerding about. So what I am doing here first is putting down a rough idea of where I want my base colors. I know what you're probably thinking.
It looks ugly. The paint is watery.
I know. But what I am doing here is what you'd call an underpainting. Basically, I just plot in colors, and since gouache is opaque, or at least it should be, I can just cover up everything and hide this layer underneath. Hence the term, underpainting. So after getting it dry, I start working into the main subject. by starting with his headgear. I'm gonna work from top to bottom with this to make it easier for me. So yeah, as I said earlier, this set of paints is not the most opaque. So that means for me to get a good color, I'm going to have to put on many layers. Which I don't mind since like acrylics, I work in layers. Next, I'll start working on the flames coming from his eyes. Here's a secret tip for you painters out there. If you want to keep working on your art without long drying times, use a hairdryer. They speed up the process and allow me to keep on working for longer periods of time. Now, this is where the real struggle begins. I now start working on the skin, and so far it doesn't look too bad, but then my stupid butt, without realizing, made his skin too orange. Ugh. And then to top it all off, when I was recording, you see these blotches right here? Well, this is how they got there. So yep, I even had to retouch the eyes because of it. But moving on, since I messed up, the show must continue. After realizing that some games feature Scorpion with a warmer skin tone, I decided to roll with that. And like I said, layering is the word of the day here, because this is probably one of the most time-consuming areas I have spent my time on with this drawing. I even outlined the eyes to give a nice contrast, and oh, now the white wants to be opaque. What the actual heck is up with this white? In all honesty, despite the frustration I was feeling, I was digging the end result of this face, and it's coming together quite nicely. Next, I'll tackle the face mask. For those wondering, why is it rainbow? Well, my viewers, at the time of this recording, Happy Pride Month! Yeah, I'm in a Pride Month mood, so I wanted to make this part of the theme too. I couldn't help it. So yeah, like I said 1,000 times, layering is key since the opacity isn't the best. So another thing I learned with gouache was patience. And also don't layer too thickly or this is what will happen. Seriously, if you're new to this or any other art medium, I would suggest to take your time and really get to know it. It was honestly around this part of the drawing that I really began to see the appeal of gouache. I really love the matte finish that it leaves, and the color vibrancy is top notch. Even with the hairdryer, I was still taking my time to make sure that I layer in the color right and cover up any spots that I have missed. Here we move on to his body, which in my opinion shouldn't be too bad since it's mostly black and with the yellow... Are those called plates? If someone can tell me what those are, that would help me out. I'm not a ninja, so I wouldn't know. After that, all there is left is basically the background. I think since I was going precise and taking my time to provide an interesting contrast, I'm going to just make it messy, make it wet, make it purple, go nuts, go crazy. Since the paper is warping like Mario in a pipe, I think before I add the finishing touches, I'm going to let it dry and cover it with a heavy book to flatten it out. So, see you then!
Get over here!
I got frustrated. I was also feeling anxious. But I'm so glad I went through with this. As an artist, it's always good to challenge yourself every now and then. And after getting to use gouache for the first time, while I definitely still need some practice with it, I'm pretty happy with the overall piece. I really love how this turned out. So my initial thoughts on gouache? It's tricky to use, it definitely takes plenty of patience. But aside from the overall atrocity of this opaque white, I can say that I've grown to like it. If you enjoyed this interesting ride, be sure to like, follow, share, subscribe, do all those fun things that we love to do on the internet, folks. I also did a video on testing out Dollar General art supplies, so if you'd like to watch that, it should be either linked up here or it should be linked down below. Also, let me know what your first time with gouache was like, if you ever tried it, down in the comments below. Let's get talking, and I'll see you next time.